went viral right from my driver's seat. Just like what the industry was containing. I'd rather make a difference instead of hating, complaining. So let me park the whip, it don't matter, rapper or model chick, singer or comedian, perfect. Let's park in politics. Hey, let's park in politics. Welcome to the pullover, let's park in politics. This the pullover, let's park in politics. I say this the pullover, let's park in politics.
Now, what I probably might be doing right now is probably going dark. Oops. Y'all can see that when I solo out, but that's the wrong button. I probably might be doing that every so often because I'm not sure if I'm going to have good communications, but good connections tonight because I am in a horrible area right now. I'm like in between, like I'm in Illinois, but I'm like a little bit down the way from Effingham. I'm right here at this pilot. I should have, you know what I should have did? I should have posted up at that Love's, but I really wanted to burn the rest of the miles out that I had because I am on my way to Texas.
Life of a trucker.
So I will be coming past Springfield, Missouri on my way down to Texas. So where are you at?
I'm in the Oasis Hotel off of exit 80 on I-44. It's owned by Prime.
Now, Prime is like, I don't know what to say about Prime. But before we get into all of that, welcome everybody to the Lockoutmen Podcast Show. For the 2 people that's in here, or 3 people, or 4 people that just popped up now, how's the video and the audio coming from my end? If it's good, give me a thumbs up, Rush. I really need to know because if it's not good, then I will be going dark, as you guys can see. Now, as far as Kearsey, there you go. See, I got it right.
Yeah, you got it right.
As far as Kearsey go, how she look? How do she look? Does she look good? Does she look good? Sean Brown gave me the thumbs up. All right, I appreciate that, bro. All right, welcome to the Lockoutmen Podcast Show, where we park and politic with all our guests tonight. I am your host, Lockoutmen, and today's guest is a person I've been trying to get on for the longest time when I first ran into her YouTube page. Trucking Along With Kearsey.
Thank you.
Kearsey, that is you're welcome. That is a unusual name. I mean, because I always thought it was Kearsey. And I did apologize to you in advance that I am going to beat up your name every so often.
Okay.
But do your name have any meaning, or you know, who gave you your name? Your mom, your aunt, your father?
It's a childhood nickname. My real name is Kirsten, which is a Norwegian name for Christina. So my mother was funny. She liked the initials KC, and that's what she said she was going to call me. But so it wound up being Kirsten Christina, and then until she realized that my name was actually Kirsten or Christina, because Kirsten is Christina. But anyway, they wound up just calling me Kearsey as I was growing up, and that's what my friends and my family call me even now. So
what's your background? I mean, so where are you from?
I'm from New Jersey, outside of Philadelphia. I'm the first person in my family that was born in Jersey. Everybody else is from South Philly area. My father died when I was 3 years old, leaving my mother with 5 kids. And she's a strong woman. That woman was in the Air Force in 1957 and then went on to work at the Naval Base in Philly and she retired from the government with 42 years in. So she raised me to be strong. I have 4 siblings. One of them passed away 10 years ago, and that's really something that's hard to deal with. But you move on, and the death of my sister really pushed me into making sure that I did things that I probably didn't have the courage to do before. And a family member owned an auto body shop that I ran for a while in my early 20s. And then I finally wound up going to work at the post office, which is where my mother and my brother worked. And it was a lot of fun in the beginning, but after a while it became hell. And on my 41st birthday, I drove into the parking lot, looked up and said, I've been working in a prison my entire adult life. And I drove away. And
all right, so you worked after you graduated out of high school. You just worked at the post office. How many years you put in at the post office?
Well, actually, no. After I graduated high school, I did go to college for a little while, but I always had a job. I worked 1 to 2 jobs, usually in retail, until I did work for my family for 2.5 years, I think, at the auto body shop. And then I went to the post office, so I think I was like 26 when I started. So I was like 16 years, something like that. But I still worked my way through college at the time. So I was working like 60 to 70 hours a week. 60 to 70 hours a week at the post office. And people don't realize it. Where I worked was a 24-hour processing center. So I was loading trucks. I was working 12 hours for Christmas Day. We were expected to work holidays, and people just think, oh, you're government, so you have off. And it wasn't like that at all. I worked in the facility that in 2001 after 9/11. It was crazy 9/11 because we were so close to New York. We're only, an hour away, that they had bomb squads going through the building. They were searching our cars. And then a couple weeks later, I'm sorry.
What was you the day that 9/11, the day that 9/11 happened? You like you say, you were so close to it. You're you just a hop, skip, and a jump over from New York. What did the day started like for you?
At the time, I worked the night shift, and it was actually my day off. But my mother was staying with me at the time because she had surgery, and she actually kicked my bedroom door in that was locked and said that, you're not going to believe it. They're bombing, they're attacking, there's terrorists. She was going crazy. And it was my brother and I, it was our day off. And we knew that we were going to have to go to work that day. That sounds crazy to some, but we were just so close to the area that people have, friends and family that worked up there. I knew some people that were in the towers. But so we went in on our day off after working 12 hours the night before, and got up and went in early, and it was just chaos. It was chaos. They, like I said, they had like the mirrors going underneath our car trying to see if there were bombs. They had dogs sniffing for bombs. They were taking they were taking like the trucks. The trucks all had to be parked off the ground, off the postal facility property, and be inspected for the bombs. And they were telling us they expected a dirty bomb. They gave us iodine tablets. A couple weeks later is when the anthrax hit our building. There was anthrax in the building I worked in. Yes, the Postal Service building. Yes. And so then they closed that down.
This is a couple of weeks after the planes went into the towers and everything, and this is a couple of weeks later.
Yeah, it wasn't long. Maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I know it was before Halloween. And the reason I remember that is because I had already bought the Halloween candy and decorated the house. And then I was afraid to let the kids come into the house for trick-or-treating. That sounds crazy, but I wound up going to the store and buying all new candy and getting completely dressed in PPE to hand out candy in front of my house because we weren't sure if we brought anything home, but you don't want to disappoint kids on Halloween either. And so that was a big deal. I mean, and they did the testing, the same swab test that we're getting now with the COVID. That's what they were shoving up our nose for the anthrax, and they were giving us the antibiotics, and we couldn't work in our facility, so they brought the mail to empty warehouses, and we were sorting the mail by hand at the empty warehouses. And get
Cool.
this, the craziest thing of the whole story is we went back to work 2 weeks later. They told us that they sanitized the building and we were completely free of anything and we'd all be fine. And they told us, you are working 12 hours a day every day for the next 3 or 4 months. We don't care. Put a bed in the locker room because you guys got to catch up on this mail that's been in here. And within 3 hours, they shut us down again because the FBI cleaned the wrong machines.
Wow. So this is all related to 9/11, like within weeks after it happened.
Mm-hmm. Great. And so people were already being traumatized from that. And of course, they didn't know what was going to happen. They basically told us every federal building is a target. And we were not talking about a little rinky-dink post office. I'm talking about someplace that has like 2,000 employees. This was a big facility. And it's a big facility that's right in the center hub artery of all these major interstates and highway systems, the New Jersey Turnpike, the interstates going into Philadelphia to Atlantic City to New York. So it was a major hub area. So they were really concerned.
Wow, man. So 16 years with the post office. What was after that? Trucking or something else?
Actually, believe it or not, while I was working at the post office, when it was starting to get to the point where it wasn't fun anymore, that's when I start writing. When my sister died in 2010, I start writing. So I wrote and published novels. I have several novels that are on Amazon with ebooks and paperbacks and audiobooks. I wrote for a lot of different online publications that I was getting paid. I just got to the point where I was like, okay, I always wanted to try to write a book, and I really never actually made the time or even thought that I could really do it. You know, people like to dream about things, and I've always been one of those people that once I set my mind to something, I'll get it done. But I really was never motivated to do it until she died. And then when she died, it was like, okay, I'm going to do everything I can now. My father died when he was 30 years old. My sister died at 47. So
now, as far as your books going, you got them public what's the word I'm looking for?
Published.
Published. How many books you got published, and have you ever thought of I mean, you're like an author, and being an author, are there any number ones, bestsellers out there that you done?
I have 5. Yes, 5. It's kind of
Okay.
like the one I did about the post office. The post office was one of my. It was my second actual. It was my first actual paperback, because I printed one that was just online before, but my first paperback, and I did an audiobook of it, became a really good seller in England, in Britain, on Amazon, on audiobook, and also in ebook. The Brits love the sarcasm and the humor, like that dry humor that I used. And it went on like the top 300 of Google humor list. So that was really cool. I do have one called Zodiac Lives that's about the Zodiac killer in San Francisco that was never captured.
Right.
The story basically goes where a little girl is in a car accident and starts having seizures and nightmares. And as she's telling her mother details, the mother realizes that she's talking about the serial killer, the Zodiac, that was from like 20 years prior or 15 years prior. So,
Okay.
so it goes into that, and that one became a really good seller on the thriller list. I was right between Agatha Christie and James Patterson. I have a screenshot of my book in between those two really good authors. So I was like, woohoo!
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm 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 flabbergasted right now. I mean, I'm talking to a top 100 author right now. Why you just didn't why you didn't continue on with you know writing more books? What made an author, a best-selling author, decided to go to
Well,
Prime and get into a truck?
well, you're using the term best-selling author, but I'm going to tell you the label best-selling author doesn't mean anything. It comes out, you're at the top of the chart for that particular category for, a minute. I mean, a day or two. And it might mean you only sold 100 copies. It doesn't mean you're making millions of dollars. So people use that term, and it's not really indicative of what really happened. But can I claim the title? Yes, I can. Did I really make money? No. Would I love to just buy a yacht and go to Aruba and write my books? Absolutely. But that's just not in the cards right now. If you know a rich guy that I can go live with and I can write my books, I'm all for it.
I don't know. I don't know if I can help you in that
Uh,
department right there. That's something. That's something that you guys got to still figure out.
well,
so, so what? So, I'm reading your bio here. What was the uh, Prime? I mean, did you do your homework? What made you get into trucking? I mean, like what kind of like got you over that way?
I was dating a trucker at the time. And he had said to me, I've been listening to you for, a year, complain about the post office, and why don't you just go to Prime? He had a best friend that worked there and trained there. And the guy told him it was a great company, but, he had just got married and his new wife was like, you have to be home. So he left Prime after 8 years to go home to be local. But he had told me, just go there, get your license, stay the year, and go home local. And I went there with that intention. But here it is 5.5 years later, because after I was there for a few months, I was like, wow, I'm treated so good. I'm not leaving. Why would I want to go back to what I was? And especially Jersey is so expensive that there's just not a point. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I have a mom that I wish that she would move to Springfield and I could get a local job at Prime, but that's just not in the cards. Then it's not in the cards.
Now, 5.5 years
Mhm.
Prime. Um, you what was the training like back then?
Training, I came through their PSD school where it was orientation for a week. You go do your physical and everything there. You get the sim classes. I went out on the road with an instructor for 3 weeks and we drove almost 10,000 miles in those 3 weeks. I went back and tested out, and because that's with your permit. And then I tested out and I went out for 30,000 miles, and it was through
Now you
winter.
got so you got your license through Prime as well, right?
Right.
And then when you went out during that time, because today Prime just changed up their act again. So they dropped it from 50,000 miles back down to 30,000 miles. You went out for 30,000 miles. What was that experience like with you and a trainer? Was it a female trainer? Was it a male trainer? Did you go straight out with them? Did you have to switch trainers? What was your experience?
Um, when I went through the PSD portion with my permit, I had a male trainer and he was amazing. He was fabulous. He was professional. He taught me a lot. The plan was that I was going to stay with him through my whole training. And then something happened, and I'm not really sure if his wife had gotten sick or if it was a car accident. There was something that caused his wife to go into the hospital, and he left right away. And so he eventually wound up getting a local job there and having to be home for his wife, which is completely, God bless them, good luck to them. That's understandable. When I went out for the TNT training, I went out with a male to female transgender. I don't care. Didn't matter to me. I could have had a purple gorilla smoking a pickle as long as somebody was willing to train me. And then she had to, she had something towards the end, and I wound up going on her friend's truck, a man, and I finished, and then I went solo.
So the male transgendered into a female, or female transgendered into a male?
No, male into female.
Oh, male into female. Oh, okay. Now the experience with that was pretty kosher. Y'all, no camaraderie or nothing like that.
I'll be honest with you, because of the hormones at the time, yes, there was highs and lows, and people got to understand, when you put two strangers in a rolling closet, there's going to be some kind of friction at some point. It's just not going to happen. Whether somebody wakes up grumpy and the other one takes too much offense to it, or, somebody's dealing with, you're driving on the ice and the snow, so you're already in that state of mind of agitation. Just, somebody not answering you when you call them could set somebody off. So to me, I just looked at training as boot camp. I'm here. I'm going to get this done. I don't care what they do. They can throw anything at me. I already went through hell at the post office. I mean, I didn't tell you, but I even had Ebola come through the stinking building, and in a box that wasn't properly wrapped, and nobody even knew what it was. And I'm like, it says level 4 biohazard contaminant on it. I'm going home. You people are driving me insane. So there wasn't anything that trucking was going to throw at me. I still say this to this day. There is nothing out here that can be thrown at me that wasn't worse than what I already went through. So some of these people that come out here sound like crybabies to me. And YouTube, when I did research, it almost stopped me from coming out here, because one thing I saw, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And one thing I saw was a woman who did a video that basically said, I've been out here for, I don't remember if it was 10 years or 12 years, whatever. She'd been a driver for a long time. And she basically said, if you're a woman and you come out here, you will be raped, you will be attacked, you will be assaulted. So my best suggestion is cast your eyes down when walking into truck stops. Don't look any of the men in the eyes. Don't talk to them. Don't smile. I was like, oh my God, like that sounds like prison. I wouldn't want to live like that. And then I start to think, I live like that anyway, sort of. I mean, you just have to be aware of your surroundings no matter where you are, right?
Exactly. So with Prime, so 5 years with Prime, you went out, you went out with the trainer, you did your 30,000 miles. How was how did you get over your fear in trucking when you first went out by yourself?
I just did it. I just did it, just like everything else in my life. I wanted to write a book. I wrote a book. I wanted to, when I came to Prime, my mother said to me, you can't just move across the country because you feel like it. Well, yes, I can, because I did. When my mother originally told me, oh, well, you can't write a book, nobody's going to sell it, nobody's going to buy it. You know what I did? I turned around and I used a fake name. She told me I'd ruin my name, so my books aren't in my real name. I named it after one of our long distance relatives that I didn't like. So I was like, I'll ruin their name.
All right, so your entire career has been with Prime?
Yes.
So talk to us about it.
My entire career has been at Prime, but you also have to understand, when I first came, before I even came to Prime, I was using truckingtruth.com for the CDL exam prep, which is an amazing, amazing free system that, I took that, and within 3 days, I was like, boom, boom, boom. I passed those written exams, no problem. And there was a support system built on that website and in that forum. And over the years, I became a moderator there. So maybe I've only been at Prime, but I have so many connections at so many different companies that there have been people that have called me up and said, hey, I work for this company and my trainer's giving me a problem. I don't know who to go to. I had friends in that company that would be able to tell this person to go to that person, or I could hook them up with a driver friend of mine to help them through. So via my friends, I've actually been able to get people off of trainers' trucks or help them when they went solo and that sort of thing. So my whole, my whole being really is wrapped up in trying to help other people. And, you know, most people don't have a great experience in training. And there's multiple reasons for that. And
Now,
anybody says it's
now, as
always
we talking about, are we talking about training across the spectrum or training at Prime?
no, I mean just training across the spectrum. You're in a truck with somebody else. And when you come into trucking, you don't know what you don't know what to expect. You have these things in your head, but you really don't know what you're getting into until you're out here. When you have rotating sleep schedules, when you're, you know, I hear so many new people that say, well, I want to get my CDL, but I want all drop and hook, and I only want to run 8 to 4, and I don't want to work weekends, and I want to be home every night, and I want this and I want that. And it's like, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't come out here then. And I'm not trying to be nasty, but you're not going to get all that until you put your dues in. We all have to pay our dues no matter what industry you're in. So
Now, how long do you 5 years with Prime? How long do you actually spend out on the road, and do you know how many miles that you put in so far?
I really don't know. It's over 500,000. I'm pretty sure it's over 500,000. Well, it's got to be over 500,000. What the heck am I saying? Because I usually, well, you got to understand too, is that sometimes I team, sometimes I don't. So I don't really keep track of that. There have been 2 years that I went out for surgery. So I was out for like 6 to 8 weeks for the surgery. This past year I was out because I had my eyes done. But usually at Prime, we're allowed to stay out 3 weeks to 4 weeks and then take 3 to 4 non-driving days off. But what people don't get is when you're a producer, you get to extend that. And people don't believe that because sometimes people don't stick around long enough. If you stick around for 3 months, then yeah, and I'm always working nights. I'm on the night shift on the team truck or whatever. You have to put in your dues. And so sometimes I stay out 4 weeks, sometimes 5 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks. It's just whatever I feel like doing. And I stay off for however long I want, and then I come back. But I also get 3 weeks paid vacation a year. And, if I just say to my fleet manager, hey, I'm coming through the terminal and you know what, I'm really tired and I'm just going to make this my vacation week, then that's what he does. It's not like, no, you have to go, because I'm not going to do that.
All right. So how long was it before they came to you and say, yo, Kearsey, we see you doing good out there, and you running miles for us and everything. We would like for you to become a trainer.
It was a year.
A year.
Yeah, it was a year.
When they asked you, to do it, did you felt confident enough to accept it?
No, and I didn't. No, I didn't take my first student until I was there 18 months. And that student was a friend of mine. And I specifically told her, I don't feel comfortable training. Not because I didn't understand the job. I was really good at the job and the trip planning and that kind of thing. My problem was the backing. I just couldn't back. And I didn't have the confidence to back. And people would tell me, well, it's 6 months, it's going to click. And obviously, after 18 months, I was doing it. But in my head, I didn't feel like I was that good. So my friend said to me, regardless of whether or not you can back the way you want, you still so much more than I do. So, come and train me so I don't have to worry about being on the truck with some stranger or with a man or whatever. And we'll work on the backing together. We'll figure it out. Well, what I found out by training her was I was a lot better at backing than I realized. And I think that boosted my confidence a lot. And then after that, I didn't train anybody for a year. So a first stranger trainee was at 2.5 years.
So with that first stranger, well, after the first with your friend, is she still with Prime to this day or no?
No, she had kids. She had kids and she wound up going back home and getting a local job, but she stayed at Prime for a year.
Okay. So with her and the 2-year gap, how many trainees have you done so far, including the one that took your truck to do a delivery?
No, I have to go back. I think 6. 6
Okay.
plus Valerie plus the first one. So total of 7.
Now, are you a company driver or are you a lease driver?
I'm a company driver.
All right, so you're a trainee. They say that the money is in training and leasing. Why didn't you go the lease route?
Because what they say and what's the truth are two different things. I mean, think about this. And this is true. Come on, you know this. If a trucker makes, say, $5,000 this week, okay, and then you go and you ask him, that's the $5,000 might be the most he's ever made, and you go and ask him, how much do you make per week? He doesn't take the average of what he made. He turns around and tells you $5,000 because that's the number that's in his head because that's what he's so proud of. I don't do that. And on my YouTube channel, you'll see I post my pay stubs and such. Now, the truth is, if I ran my students 5,000 miles a week, that kind of thing, because I do a team training, yeah, I could be at $3,500 a week. But in my head, I don't want to be that kind of trainer that's exhausting them, that they're not learning, that we're not showering as often. So I would rather run my truck at 4,500 miles a week, slow us down, relax, go sit down and have dinner and talk about things so that we're learning. I might make less money doing it that way. I could certainly make more money doing it the other way. But in the long run, guess what happens? When I create a good student that goes on to my fleet manager, I get more perks. I get looked at in a better light. I build my reputation through helping to mold future drivers. And not only that, but I had a really severe, well, I considered a severe accident when I first started. I had been there a month and I knocked an axle off a trailer.
Now let me ask you this before we touch on the accident. How is the breakdown? How is the breakdown there for you guys to get paid while training?
It's like on a progression thing. So under 3,000 miles is a certain cent per mile, and then between this mile, but it came out to 64 cents a mile for all miles average for my last student, the one that just upgraded. So I get paid for, all miles. So doing that, then it's easier for me to sit here and figure out, okay, well, if I need X amount of money this week, then we might have to run a little bit harder than I did last week, or you know what I'm saying? But I'm not in it for the money. People want to, if you're in training for the money, you're going to be lousy at it. And that's the truth. Okay. I had a student that I'm going to be really honest with you. The student was not good. The student terrified me. The student was not safe. And because I needed more sleep trying to deal with the student that I did not trust, we ran less and less miles. So I actually got paid less average weekly than I would have if I was solo.
Why not just get him off the truck?
See, now that's a good question, because I want to help people. And part of it was I really thought that maybe this person was just still trying to get past that anxiety and that nerves. Maybe I wanted to give the person a chance. And I got to a certain point, but I was like, no, this is just not going to work. This is not, it's not going to happen. So
you brought him back to Springfield. I take it you brought him back to Springfield, and you just pretty much told them that he wouldn't work out. Did they put him with another trainer that maybe will work out, or is he still with the company, or no?
I don't know. Legally, they're not allowed to tell me anything like that. If they reprimand somebody or fire them or anything like that, they're not allowed to legally tell you. So I wouldn't know.
All right. So you was in an accident. I mean, it happens to the best of us. So was your first accident? How did you feel after that first accident?
Oh my gosh, it was my only accident, thank God. And as a matter of fact, it was March 15th. So whatever today is, we got 5 years coming up. And basically what happened was I came in the wrong way in a truck stop, and I was facing the fuel pumps. And when I went to swing around and go through the fuel pumps, I didn't give myself enough swing room, and I hit the tandems on a concrete barrier in front of the fuel lane. And it was it was horrible. And I got out and I'm taking pictures like I'm supposed to. The manager of the truck stop came out and started screaming at me saying, "Didn't you see what you did?" Of course I see what I did. The axle's on the ground. Hello. So he's telling me to back up. And now all these guys, what do truckers do? They have nothing to do during their day. You're bored, so you get out of the truck and they're all pointing and laughing, and I'm trying to back up, and I had to actually get out and yell at them and say, I obviously can't drive this thing forward, so why would you entrust your life to be standing behind me when you know I can't see you in the freaking mirror? So it was terrible. I was fully loaded. They had to send somebody to chain up the axle and swap the load out and, put it on an empty trailer and all that. And so it was not a good day. And another Prime driver came over to me after seeing me cry for 8 hours. And he says, "Look, I'm going to take you to dinner and I'm going to make you feel better." And I was like, okay. And when he sat me down, he told me his accident story. And he said, are you continuing with this load? And I said, yes. And he says, okay, well, if you're continuing with this load, you're not getting fired. They would have had you bring the trailer back to the terminal. And he says, so as long as you're not near a terminal, you're fine. And I'm like, okay.
What did safety say to you about the incident?
Well, they asked me flat out, how'd it happen? And here's the key. Okay. My response was, it was nobody else's fault but my own. I did not swing wide enough and I caused this. That's the key to trucking and when you're new. Okay. You accept responsibility and you know what you did and you admit that you're going to learn from those mistakes. Too many people out here, it turns into, oh, this guy came flying around the corner, he cut me off. They make up excuses for their own deficiencies. And I didn't do that. So, I was upset and I was like, am I getting fired? And they weren't going to tell me that right then, but they kind of asked me a few questions. And one was, did you hit anybody, run them over, kill them? No. Is there a fuel pump on the ground where we're going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for fuel? No. Is the truck upright? Yes. Okay, then it's not as bad as what you think it is. This was not like a moving violation. This was not, I didn't destroy anybody's property but Prime's. And it was an old trailer. So that's how they saw it. And I did everything I was supposed to do.
But they still put it as a preventable, though, did they?
It's a preventable DOT reportable because it had to be towed. It had to be fixed before it could be moved. So therefore it's considered tow. So that's DOT.
Right.
That's acceptable. I mean, I accept it. I did it, but I've learned from it. And something
Sergeant,
that was, hmm,
Sergeant Ringo says, "Own up to your mistakes."
that's right. I love Sergeant Ringo. He's one of my buddies.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
So Kearsey, so
Uh-huh.
I mean, it look like Prime is just doing everything right by you. You're not only a trainer, you're one of their. I want to say you're one of their top drivers. So much so that that you're now on their driver advisory board. Can you give us a little bit of give us what you do on that?
The driver advisory board is a group of drivers that are appointed based on our productivity, on our net fuel costs, on our accidents, our logs. They go through every department basically has to go approve you for this. And then you're pretty much appointed. There's a committee that decides who gets to be on it based on your accomplishments. And we are available to the drivers for them to give us recommendations, give us feedback on what they need. And then several times a year, we sit down with all the major department heads. That's what I'm doing right now in Springfield. Was the past couple days, we drivers got together. We had the safety department, our road assist, our maintenance departments. The owner of our company is always there, and we get to just tell them, this is what we need, this is what we need to change, this is what we like. And if we have any questions with programs that are changing and things like that, that's when we get the information that we can go disseminate and make sure that all of the drivers know what's going on. And I'm also sort of a representative. So when say a student, for example, has a problem on a truck, the trainer yelled at them, or they're nervous with this trainer, or whatever the problem is, they can come to me, a driver advisory member, and we will send them, or we will contact the appropriate department to make sure that whatever's fixed. I mean, people get this thing of, oh, creepy trainers. Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe there are creepy trainers everywhere you go. I don't care where you go. The company isn't going to know it if you don't bring it to their attention. So it's also part of the responsibility of the student to contact somebody. And Prime realizes that contact point, although it should be your fleet manager, it should be your dispatcher, a lot of times people will feel more comfortable with another driver. We also have a female driver liaison in the training department. So women feel more comfortable contacting another woman. So even though she's not a driver, she's a woman, and she takes phone calls 24/7. I thought it was lip service when I first got here. I thought it was a PR thing, but it's not. This woman answers her phone at 1 a.m. when there's a crisis going on. I got to give
Now,
her props.
I have talked to a few females that had their issues with prime trainers,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and some of which has backfired on them. I mean, the one young lady I talked to, she said she did go and tell the people that was in the know about her trainer, but looked like her trainer looked like had more power and actually got her fired instead. I mean,
Well, I can tell you this from my own experiences. Prime's going to investigate, and Prime's going to take, if you make an accusation and Prime can prove it to be false, and I have no idea who you're talking about. So this is a disclaimer. You didn't give a name just now. You see what I'm saying? Um, they're going to investigate, but they take false allegations seriously too. And I can't sit here and comment on a particular case I don't know about, but I've always been treated fairly. And, but I've also seen some drivers and some students pull some crazy stuff. So the only thing I can do is trust that they've been around for 51 years and that they can sort through the BS and what is true and what isn't. And, you know, will they get it wrong sometimes? I'm sure, because we're all human, right? But I think in general, Prime tries its best. They try its best to improve. They try its best to give everybody a fair shot. I mean, we have an open door policy. So if you don't like what the fleet manager says, you go to his boss. And if you don't get what your results, then you could go to his boss, and you can keep going up the chain all the way to the owner. Now, did COVID affect that a little bit? Yes, because they're not in the offices anymore. They're working from home. But you know, everybody's experience is going to be different. That's all I can say. And there are circumstances that I can't talk about because I can't talk about them. I'm sorry. But
That's
I've seen
understandable.
some really nasty things happen that weren't true.
All right. Now today the big announcement, they rolled back to 30,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Any idea why they did that, or did the advisory board has anything to do with them rolling back the amount of time that you had to be out?
I don't think the advisory board had anything to do with it. It's the training department. Prime as a whole will test the waters. Like, we're even testing the Volvos right now. We tested the automatics before we got them. We tested the lightweights before they bought them. So they test things and they'll see what works for them, and they'll keep changing. Before I came to Prime, the training period was 6 months. When I came to Prime, it was 30,000 miles. Last year, when COVID hit, I'm not exactly sure when they changed the miles. I want to say it was right before COVID, but COVID, extending the miles for the 50,000 was actually a good move, because then the truck production slowed down. So you couldn't get as many trucks. And Prime has always done something in the wintertime anyway that a lot of people aren't aware of. They always encourage the trainees to stay on the truck throughout the winter. So they would pay them extra to stay on the truck throughout the winter. So it's not something that is out of character for Prime.
Okay, that's what's up. So let's roll it back right quick. Let's roll it back before you got into Prime. What was you looking for as far as getting into a trucking company?
Don't laugh. The only thing I really wanted was someplace that was going to train me and someplace that would let me bring the cat on the truck. That's it. I wasn't getting rid of my truck. It's just, I wasn't getting rid of my cat. I'm sorry. I wasn't getting rid of my cat. And I didn't have money for school. And my friend told me, hey, go here. And I did. And that's what happens.
So your first, let's say your first year, of course you was solo in your first year with Prime. What did you do to keep yourself motivated on the truck?
That's a good question. Honestly, I kept reflecting on how bad it was at the post office, and I utilized my brother. My brother was a great support system. Even with almost 10,000 miles with my permit, I still failed my backing test the first time. I still failed the driving test. And one of the reasons why I think I failed the driving test was because I tested out in a manual, and I didn't test on the truck that I had been driving all that time. The clutch was different. The shifter was different. So, and that's not to say that I was nervous, and I just failed, but my brother was there for me. And I'm not going to lie, it was tough. It was tough going solo for me. Like I said, I could not back up, and I would cry at in the parking, trying to back up, and I was exhausted all the time, but I just pushed through it.
Other than that, mishap, and I'm going to say
Mhm.
that mishap in the trucking in the field area.
Mhm.
Was there any other? Was there any other failures that you care to admit that you did throughout your trucking career with Prime?
Well, of course, we all have failures, but it depends on, what you're talking. Did I hit anything? No, but I did a video where I almost rolled the truck while I was parked. Now, how do you do that? You're parking
Forgot,
gravel with 46,000 pounds.
forgot
Yeah.
forgot to set the air brakes.
No, I parked in a gravel lot. I was almost past my 14 due to an accident that had a jam in Columbus, and
Mhm.
I parked with like 7 minutes left on my clock, and it was just the first open lot I could find. And when I parked there, everything was fine. I get in bed, and after maybe like a half hour, I heard and I got up and I'm looking around. I'm like, what the heck? And in my mirror, the top of my trailer was in my mirror, like the top corner. And I was like, oh
Wow.
crap, the whole trailer is starting to like tilt and sink in the gravel. So I was like, what am I going to do? And this was about a month after my accident. So I'm like, okay, I can call Prime and probably get fired because now it's going to be 2 accidents in a month. Or I could try to get myself out of here, and if I roll the truck, then I'll get fired. But at least I was putting up a fight. If I sit here, I'm screwed. So I just turned it all the way to the right and I shifted and forth and I took off and I spun out and the whole trailer went ba-boom, ba-boom. And, then I went and parked and here I am. So,
You was able to get out of that one.
right.
Uh,
But you just have to keep a cool head.
5 years ago when you came into Prime and you trained out and everything, is your license restricted or no?
No, I trained on a manual, so I don't have a restriction.
But now that was 5 years ago when Prime had manuals. Now
Right.
do Prime has what is Prime now? All the whole automatic fleet.
They're 99% automatic. The owner ops and, who even as a lease op, you can pay extra money to get a manual if that's what you want to order. So most of the trainers are going to be in automatics. But if you happen to get like one of the Junior Honduras, for example, everybody knows Junior. Junior Honduras has a manual. If you're trained by Junior, you test on his truck, therefore you don't have the restriction.
Now, for the people that do come there, they test out, they're gonna have the restrictions on their license. For those that don't want the restrictions on their license, is there a way that they can like say, hey, I want to test out in a manual, or how would they go by getting that restriction off their license?
Prime's not going to help them. They'd have to go to a local CDL school and, pay them. A lot of the CDL schools will just, at least in my area, they'll say, okay, pay us $500 to use our truck. We'll set you up with the test. We'll give you some practice, with the manual. I personally don't think that it's a hindrance or a bad thing, to be honest with you. I think it might have been easier for me because I had never driven a stick shift before at all. So if I waited a year, by that year, what's happening? I don't worry about the turn radius. I don't worry about, my distancing. I don't worry about curves, things like that. You're calm. So by the time somebody does a year and then they go test the manual, the only thing they're worried about when they test is that shifting and that skipping the shifts and grinding is only 5 points on the exam. So no matter what you do, you're going to get that, that test. So you don't need to be as nervous as you are originally.
Okay, that's what's up. Hold on for a second. There we go. I'm just clicking back. Nick says, if you can't make it at Prime, then maybe you shouldn't be driving. He's just saying.
Okay.
Now Prime, Prime, I had, a whole bunch of reservations because, you got a whole bunch of naysayers,
Mhm.
that, you got your negative nannies and you got your, the people that wasn't feeling Prime. They come and, give they report about it, say Prime this and Prime that, but Prime is actually a good company to get your CDL license. Would you agree?
I think Prime's a good company, period. Okay. People see Prime as a starter company, but number one, our average, you know, um, our average experience is 3.5 years. People assume that we're mostly brand new drivers of under a year, and that's not true. When you walk down the halls at Prime, you see plaque after plaque after plaque of people that have been there 10 years, 15 years, 30 years. And after I had my accident, one of the first drivers I met was a man at the terminal, at the Salt Lake City terminal. And I really, really regret, of all the things that I've done, like been through it at trucking, one of the things I really regret is not getting this guy's name. I really feel bad because he was at Prime for 25 years. He was turning his truck in and retiring. He opened up the doors to his truck and just start taking things off the truck. The satellite, the GPSs, the refrigerators, he gave them all out to the brand new drivers. And he said, you, come here. I can tell yous are all new because none of yous can back up the way you should be. And it wasn't, you can tell a new person when they're backing. It's not, you know what I'm saying. But he gave us all these products and he gave me a $300 GPS. And I said, I can't pay you for this. And his response was, I don't expect your money. I expect you to go and help the future Prime drivers. Pay it forward.
That's
So
what's
I've
up.
been doing that ever since. Okay. And that's the community that Prime has. And I think that sometimes people don't give it a chance. People, like I said, people expect things to be a certain way. I hear a lot, well, you're just a number at your mega carrier. This annoys me so much. It really does, because my opinion is if you act like a number, you're going to be treated like a number.
But
When I
you,
go,
I mean, I gotta admit,
Mhm.
I do gotta admit, some mega carriers do treat you like a number.
I wouldn't know that because I haven't worked anyplace else.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
yeah,
see, and this is what happens, okay? Now think about this. Somebody that hasn't worked at Prime will make that statement, but they haven't worked at Prime. And I'm not going to criticize Swift or Knight. Do I have friends that were there? Can I make a judgment based on what they told me, not even knowing if it's true? Sure, I can. But 16% of people getting hired at Prime are rehires on a weekly basis. That says something to me.
okay. That
And
says that says
here's something that's true. Okay. When I got to Prime and I was sitting in orientation that week, there were 3 men that had been working at Prime for it was 8 years, 10 years, and 14 years. Okay. They were training their wives. Now that their kids were grown and out of the house, the wives were going to come and drive with them. They were training their wives. Now, you got 3 men that have spent over a decade at this company, and he brings his wife in. If there was something wrong with that company, that man's going to be tortured for all eternity. That wife is going to be nagging, going, you remember 30 years ago when you took me to that crappy company? So when I saw that, I was like, wow, this place must be good.
Let me ask you this. I gotta pull it back up. Out of your 5 years of driving, how many times have you been pulled over by the DOT?
You mean just as a random side inspection or actually in the weigh station?
Either or.
Maybe 8 or 9. Maybe 8 or 9. Uh, 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 you know, because you got to remember too, I've teamed off and on, so you're more likely to get pulled in. So, I mean, both of us together, probably 8 or 9, at some point. There was one that there were 2 that pulled me in right off the side of the road. It was just a random thing that I wasn't even at a way station. California has a tendency to pull you in a lot, and we go to California as teams. So
was there any cases that that they found or anything like that?
I've never failed an inspection. I've always had my paperwork. I've heard people make complaints about some kind of bias, but like they always ask you the same questions. We all know that, right? You pull up, there's your paperwork. Do you have any alcohol, drugs, or weapons on the truck? I said, no. Can I search your truck? Yes. Okay. I've never had the truck searched, although they've asked me if they could search the truck. And I know people will say, oh, you never let them. Whatever. You know what? I don't have anything to hide. So they want to search the truck. I told the one guy, you're going to find some girly stuff in there. So I hope it doesn't offend you.
Nick says he started with Swift in 2002, and now he works at Prime, I guess. What's that? P time. And he said he has to say that Prime is a great company. I always tell people to come over. I don't plan doing OTR forever, but as of right now, Prime works for him. That's what's up. That's what's up. Kearsey. Yeah. What is the hardest part about trucking to you? Is it family? Is it the money? Is it backing?
For a new person, it's probably going to be just the idea of being away from home and missing that family if you've never done it. I mean, I have friends that it wasn't hard for me because I already felt like that at the post office. I was never home anyway. I missed holidays with family anyway. Veterans, it's really easy. I don't want to say it's easy for them, but it's easier for them because they're already adjusted to that nomadic lifestyle where you're moving around, where, you're getting deployed and you're separated from your family. So veterans usually have an easier time with it. Nurses, medical professionals. But yeah, probably that's number 1. I think number 2 is just the fear that people have to get over, fear of the unknown. And that comes true with fear of backing, fear of, oh, I'm going to be fired. Like, yeah, I hit the axle off. I thought for sure I was going to be fired. And somebody told me, well, don't go into the terminal or you will be. Well, guess what happened? After I delivered my load, I needed an empty trailer. Guess where I was sent? The terminal. You know what I did? I ran into that terminal and got out before anybody knew I was there.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think what really is going to make a difference in your money is your time management. And that takes a long, long time. That takes a year. And, going back to expectations, and you as a person, as a driver, as a new person, could be more of a hindrance to yourself and hold yourself back just by being too hard on yourself, by expecting, like Maureen, that's my co-driver now. That was one of her biggest problems. She expected to learn in 15 minutes how to back. Uh-oh, what? Uh-oh. What'd you say?
Yo, look like your internet kind of froze, and now you're in the delay mode.
Uh-oh. I'm fine here.
Oh, okay. There you go. You back. You syncing up now.
Okay.
Kearsey, you are being featured in a lot of articles. You was just recently featured in the Today Show when they did the essential workers. I went back and I watched that, and I really felt that they didn't they didn't focus on you. I just kind of felt that they focused on the other women than they focused on you. But how did you come about being featured in that little expose?
Well, originally I did some videos about truck stops. There were tours of truck stops, and National Public Radio has a podcast called Marketplace. So they had invited me on their show, and I did a podcast interview there. And then from there, NBC had heard me and decided that they wanted me to come on their show. So I
Right.
was
So
invited, and I was like, wow.
now we was talking about it in the back room. Uh this is it right here. You kind of told me that the idea of doing it where you was at the hotel, Prime wanted to get their trucks in the background. So they
Well,
wanted to get
nah,
the notes.
it was, you know, it logistically, it was easier for me to come to to Prime and do it there. And it was because the NBC wanted videos of me with the trucks. They wanted videos of me walking around and driving the truck and everything. How was I going to do that myself?
How long? How now? Of course, they chopped it down, for editing and time purposes. But how long were they there for the whole duration?
Well, they weren't there at all. We did it through Zoom, just like you and I are doing this through StreamYard. So, it was Prime's videographer that took the B-roll. Each one of us was
Oh,
responsible for the B-roll. So I couldn't do that at just some random hotel. So I had to go into the terminal where, they took care of everything.
oh, okay. So basically, you just did the interview via Zoom, and then Prime just sent in the B roll through them via email.
Right.
Oh, okay, okay. Now you also featured in other publications too. So what other publications you're featured in?
Well, I've been writing blog articles on the trucking life and educating new drivers on truckingtruth.com for years. I've been doing that. I've had like 3 dozen articles, I think, on there. After the NPR interview, Road Pro, who the brand name that we see in the truck stops that make all of the appliances and things like that, they had contacted me and wanted me to write articles for their online magazine. So there, in exchange of those articles, I'm going to be able to get products that I can give out, like GPSs and
Wow.
headsets and things like that for my what impressed me with them though was I had said, well, I could review the product in a video, and if it's a good product, then I'll give a good review. I'll be honest with you. I told them, if it's a bad product, I just not going to review it. I'll just won't say anything bad about it, but I'm not going to promote something that I don't believe in either. And their
Yeah,
response,
you don't want to be biased towards because I was I had a company that reached out to me,
mhm.
and they say, yo, Lockout, we want you to sponsor this product, and they sent it to me, and I was like, but then me personally, I was like, nah, I don't like this. I mean, if I'm gonna do it, if I'm gonna review it, I'm gonna give it my honest review. They didn't want me to give my honest review. They
Mhm.
actually sent me an email saying what they wanted me to kind of like sugarcoat. And
Mhm.
I couldn't do that. Not even for the amount of money that they was offering me.
Road Pro's response wasn't that. Road Pro's response was, we want to know the bad. you know, we appreciate that you're not going to publicize the bad, but we want you to come back to us with any negative feedback because we want to improve the products. So that impressed me. But you know, so they actually pretty much told me I could kind of pick any topics that I wanted and then submit the articles, and we would keep almost like an arsenal. So as they needed, you know, articles, they could feature them. So just that was really cool. That was really
Now,
cool.
now the NPR, my son listens to NPR like
Hmm.
religiously. So
Hmm.
I'm surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he probably heard the interview with you and NPR. How did NPR come to pass?
Well, because the podcast show was it's marketplace, which is business and the economy. So they were looking for different businesses impacted. Originally, it was supposed to be truck stops, and they had asked me for a list of various truck stops that I frequent and why I think those are the best. And they got in contact with those truck stops and did interviews with them. But then when they brought me on, they sort of turned it into COVID and how were truckers affected by COVID, and how were the truck stops affected by COVID and that sort of thing, which was fine with me. I don't care. But they recorded about a half hour and took it down to like a 5 minute skit, which, you know, 5 minutes is great. I love it.
That's what's up. Andrea Garcia, what's going on? Thank you for being here. She says Kearsey is the best when it comes to teaching others about time management and being profitable. Thumbs up, Kearsey.
Thanks. I
What
try.
when you get compliments like that and comments like that, what do you say? What do you say to people that give you good compliments? How did that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel great, obviously, but you know, people accuse YouTubers, especially mega carriers and everything, of just wanting the referral bonuses. And, you know, what I say is, I don't do this for the referral bonuses. I do this because, in all honesty, I did struggle my first year, and I don't want other people to have to do that. I don't want people to feel alone. I want people to be able to feel like they can reach out. I paid $70,000 in debt my first 2 years. I was nearly bankrupt and I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to pay a bankruptcy lawyer before I got the prime. So in 2 years as a company driver, I paid off $70,000. So don't, you know, people can't tell me, oh, you can't make money at prime or you can't make money as a company driver. The heck with you people, you don't know what you're talking about. So when people say things like that to me, my reaction is, that's awesome, and you come out here, you do the best you can. I don't even care if you don't come into trucking. If you just use that to motivate you to do whatever you want in life, then go for it. And then once you prosper, pass it on to others, just like that prime driver said to me, pay it forward.
Wow.
You know,
So you
and
was able to do that in the first 2 years?
yes, uh-huh. And, you know, I mean, I'm sure you know, but, you know, last year, my proceeds from the YouTube channel for 2020, I donated to charity. So that whole, oh, well, she just wants referral, that don't fly with me because I didn't keep it, you know.
Now with your YouTube channel, now that you mention it, you mentioned
Hmm.
your YouTube channel.
Hmm.
When did you started your YouTube? Because I started following you maybe about a couple, maybe about a year and a half ago. Yeah, I
Well,
said
that's when I
2 years.
started. I know. And when you came on, I was a little tiny channel. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, look at this guy's interviews. I can't go on this guy's show. He's like so big and impressive. And I really didn't know what I was doing. So think I put the first video up in September of 2019. But you know, I'm technologically challenged, so it really took me a long time to figure out how to do the editing and things like that. Look at the thumbnails; those are my really old videos, so you can see the difference. you know, as I start to get better with but I guess that's just natural. That happens with everybody.
Now, Kearsey, I want to ask you this, but I'm not sure how to ask you this.
I'm from
So,
Jersey, so just ask me.
okay, so you made a video about a year back.
Uh-huh.
Actually, a couple of YouTubers from Prime made a particular video
Uh-huh.
about a trainer that's
Uh-huh.
that's no longer with the company.
Uh-huh.
Um, after 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 that situation had happened,
Mm-hmm.
the video that you made, as well as the other videos that the other YouTubers made,
Uh-huh.
they took them down. Did
Uh-huh.
Prime come and ask you guys to take those videos down because of the situation that had happened at that time?
We were not told to. We were not asked to. We were basically told, hey, you might want to consider what you're saying in your videos.
Okay.
You have to
Now,
understand when there are certain things that come up legally, and this is something that people have a tendency to forget. We think that we have freedom of speech out here. And we do to a certain extent. The Constitution only protects us against the government. It doesn't protect us against our employers. And Missouri and a lot of other states are at will states. They can fire you for anything or nothing. They don't have to tell you why they're firing you. They could just say, we don't need you anymore. Goodbye. That's the truth. And, you know, so when people, you know, will say to me, well, no, they didn't. You know, it came down to a situation of, you know, just us. Sometimes we're put in a situation that we have to make sure we don't get ourselves into.
okay,
You know what I'm
okay.
saying?
Well,
So,
well said. Well said. Now with that said, do Prime has the book of YouTube? I need to know when you went into Prime 5
mhm,
years ago.
mhm.
Was there? It was during orientation. Did Prime? Did somebody at Prime say, "Yeah, we got the book of YouTube"? Because everybody and their mama that comes out of Prime has a YouTube channel, and I need to know: did Prime give you guys the book of YouTube?
No. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know trucker YouTubes was a thing. I didn't know it until I started right before I start. Okay. How do I explain this? I Before I came out here, I said I saw a few YouTube channels, but I didn't think that there was this major, huge genre like there is. You know what I mean? Before came out here, I saw a couple here and there. I've never been one to actually watch YouTube. I used it for documentaries and research, not entertainment, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. So it was my mother. This is going to make you laugh. It was my mother, my 82-year-old mother last year called me up and she was like, "Oh, I'm watching these two women, Nick and Carla. Do you know them?" "No, could you give me a hint?" You know? And like, where should I know them from? And she's like, "Well, they work for Prime." I'm like, "So do 12,000 other people. Come on." You know? And then it turned into that my mother was watching all these trucker YouTube channels and then saying to me, "Do you know him? He drives the same interstate you do." "Yeah, mom, we all drive the same interstates." And so I didn't really know. The reason that I even got into the whole channel thing was because I wanted to keep teaching, and I had decided that I had enough with having people on my truck. You know, you have to give up a lot of space. You have to give up your privacy. You have to give up your time. And whether people believe it or not, as a trainer, you have to constantly be concerned about somebody else's needs. You know, and when that person can't convey their needs, it's really difficult. It's really difficult You can go to a truck stop and say, okay, we're going to be parked here for 24 hours. You know, there's a Walmart down the street. We could Uber, let's do our laundry, whatever. And then that person doesn't do it and you get rolling, and 3 hours down the road, it's, oh, I need to do
Hold
laundry.
on.
You know, you should have done it then.
All right,
But
we're back. We kind of got knocked out there for a second. Yo, guys, we back. Are we good? Check 1, 2. Kearsey, we good? We back?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I didn't go anywhere. You went somewhere.
I know, right? It just went dark for a minute, but you know, we still trucking along. I mean, the bandwidth is still giving me a little bit of juice, so I am thankful for that. Guys, give me a thumb rush in the comments if you guys can hear and see us good. Kearsey, before I let you go, first thing first, man, thank you very much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. I'm really definitely enjoying my conversation with you.
Thank you.
You're a pretty awesome person, man. I mean, artist. I mean, you know, artist for a couple of books. Where can they get your books at Amazon or where?
They're on Amazon. They're listed under Rhoda Detour. I have my links on the bottom of my descriptions. I didn't use my name because my mother told me that I wouldn't sell anything. But and I donated the book proceeds too. So, you know, that's just who I am. That's part of who I was. I even worked for a Dalmatian rescue before I came to trucking. So that's just who I like to be. But I thank you.
All right, most definitely, man. Let's talk about truck safety for female truckers out here.
Okay.
What was the most scariest, if any, that you've been at a truck stop or over the road?
The scariest were all those riots and protests and everything. I was in Phoenix and they set the highway on fire on 17. So I had to backtrack and come across 10. And so I was right in between of Tucson and Phoenix, and I stopped at a rest area. I'm out of hours. I went to sleep for a couple hours, and when I woke up, there were people just all over the interstate. There were horns honking and people screaming and yelling, and I don't know if it was firecrackers or gunshots or what, but that was my scariest night on the truck in all this years. And I had a hammer in each hand, sitting on my sleeper, like waiting for somebody to try to get in the truck. And I took the seat belts and put them through the door handles to secure them. But the truth of the matter is, if somebody wants to break through that windshield, they're going to break through that windshield, you know. And I just sat up and only had 2 or 3 hours sleep, and I was ready and waiting. And then in the morning, and I took off when my hours came back, I just told my fleet manager, yo, this is what happened. And I'm tired. I need sleep. And he just had somebody come get my load from me. There was no argument. There was no fight. There was no, you have to push further. It was, I'm tired. I need sleep. You people got to fix this. And that's what happened. So.
Wow. All right. That's what's up. So as a whole, being a female driver and everything, how safe do you feel when you're out here? Do you think you feel safe? Or
other than that situation, the only other time that I can say I felt unsafe was also during COVID. And I don't know if you ever go out west at all, but on I-40, the rest area bathrooms do not have doors on them to the outside. So if rattlesnakes and coyotes wanted to run in, they could just run in. And the women's is on the opposite side of the truck. So if I was screaming at 2 o'clock in the morning, nobody's going to hear me. They wouldn't have seen me. And I ran in one time and I wasn't paying attention. And then I looked down, and next to me in the stall was this huge Shaquille O'Neal type of boot. Like, it was huge, and I got big feet. So, but here it turned out that the men's room was closed and the men were coming into the ladies' room.
Wow.
Yeah. But in my head, it was there's a man in the next stall and there's no door. And how do I get out? And if I jump, when I come out of the stall, is he going to hit me in the head with something? Is he going to grab me from behind? I didn't know, but it was only when I got out of there. So, yes, you have to be aware. I mean, if you're just go out there and you don't have any awareness, you're not prepared to protect yourself, then you're a fool. I'm sorry. But that's true anywhere. I mean, and people will say to me, well, if you go out on the road, it could be scary. And they'll say, oh, there's killers. Well, guess what? A killer is in everybody's hometown. Like everybody's hometown could be where the killer lives. Like people didn't expect Ed Gein or John Wayne Gacy or Ted Bundy to live in their neighborhoods either, But if you think about it, if I'm parked next to two trucks, I got a guy on each side of me. What are you, 6 feet away? If I took a hammer and smashed it through somebody's window, they're going to come running out and screaming. If you're in a house, how far are your neighbors? If you're screaming and somebody's attacking you, you might not have help. It's more likely that I'm going to get some kind of man coming out to help me than somebody who's getting attacked in their home.
That's what's up.
So,
That's what's up.
It goes back to positivity and always looking at the bright side and figuring not to look at the negative.
All right, so Kearsey, we gonna bounce on your YouTube for a second. You've been YouTubing for quite a while, and you definitely got a good YouTube page. It is very informational, very comedic. It is very, it's very again, it's very informational. So if anybody wants to go to Kearsey's page, it is called Truckin Along With Kearsey. For women, for being a YouTube, and this is more of a YouTube question, is it easier for females to get subscribers on YouTube?
Yes. Yes, it is. But that's not to say that men aren't going to get subscribers. I think you have to find a shtick. You have to find something that's going to separate you from somebody else. So JJ the trucker is an example. He's a prime driver. He's got 12,000 subscribers or something. We start our channel at the same time. But the difference is he has a drone. He does these cool edits. He was more technologically advanced than I did. He's nice. He's funny. So, everybody has to just try different things and see what's going to work. And they have to keep stepping up their game. And if you'll look, I've done that too. Like you'll see I changed the thumbnails and, I went to vlogging and then sometimes I was cutting in and out and I've done interviews and, you got to keep evolving. And Dirty Broke, Dirty Broke 215? Okay, that's my man. I love Dirty Broke. He did a video one time that said, that is the key to everything, especially running a business. You have to keep evolving or you die.
There you go. That's what's up. What some of the before again, we about to go in and get on up out of here because I know I don't want to take too much of your time. And plus, I gotta go to sleep and get up in the morning because I'm heading to Texas. I know, right? I need to know is Texas is okay, y'all. I mean, I'm coming down to Houston, so okay. I need to know is it okay down there? I mean, I talked to somebody that was down there and they said it was like 80 degrees down there. So
it's okay.
I just want to make sure before I get down there. But what now, you represent Prime for sure. Do Prime, now I know you get like referral bonus and stuff like that, but do Prime for you guys, like, I mean, you did a lot as far as the NBC thing and the NPR thing, and I think the upcoming magazine thing. Do you guys get like a little bit extra? I mean, do Prime give you guys a little bit extra by, promoting them?
This is one of those questions that no matter how I answer it, it's wrong or it makes Prime look bad. If I say yes, it turns into, oh, you're just a shill and that's, they're your daddy. And if I say, no, then it turns into, oh, they're evil. So how dare they not pay you? So there's no correct answer to that. The truth is, no, I don't get paid for this. I mean, I get my referral bonuses. Now, maybe I'm looked at differently. That could be my payment, my reward, if you look at it that way. There was, somebody that I talked to that was sort of higher up in management, and I said to them one day, I was like, well, if you don't like my channel or whatever, I'll just take the whole channel down. And their response was, no, we like your channel. You're informative. You're helping our other drivers. You're helping drivers to find out about Prime. And, I'm even helping drivers at other companies. So I'm not bashing other companies. I'm out here doing the job that women are afraid to even attempt to do because they don't realize. You start to ask me a question about, do I think it's harder for a man or a woman? And I thought you were going to say in trucking, and you said on YouTube. But in trucking, I'm treated better. I'm treated better than a man. When I was backing up in the truck stops and at 2:00 in the morning, guys will jump out of their trucks and start helping a woman back up. When
Well,
they see
yeah,
a man
that's what we do.
yeah,
Yeah,
but what do you do when you see
that's
a
what
man?
we do.
What do you do when you see a man do it?
Oh no,
You get on the CB and you laugh at them. Oh, look at
no,
Prime
I'm
get
not.
back.
Well, me personally, if I see somebody struggle, yeah,
Mhm.
I'm going to get out. I'm going to get out and help them, whether it's a female or a male, especially if I see them struggle, because I that's my pet peeve. I
Mhm.
hate when people just pull out their cameras and just record the person struggling and
Mhm.
just try to give some BS commentary. I'm like, bro, why don't you get your ass out there and help them? It will look. It's a better look you going out there helping them
Mhm.
than you sitting in your truck complaining about them. You know,
That's
but 90, like you said, as far as a woman, of course, a guy going to jump out of his truck all the time for a
that's
female.
right. And even at customers, I've had customers put my load locks in where they didn't put it for the guy next to me. I've had customers give me doors earlier than guys that have been sitting there, but in part because I went in with a smile. Hi, how you doing today? How's your day? And that guy was screaming and yelling at them, saying, "You're wasting my time. MF this and that, whatever." So you treat people the way you want to be treated and you're going to get respect, and it goes the opposite way. You disrespect people, they're going to come back at you with whatever power they have. So I personally have been treated better. I've had people that guided me back. I've had people that inserted my load locks. I've had people that would pull my tandem pins and then guide me back to tell me how far and in what hole I was trying to slide. um, I really haven't suffered from any of the things that I've heard other women talk about.
Kelsey, if I'm pronouncing your name right. If I'm not, my bad. Teddy the trucker, what's going on? She's, I think that's a she. I want to say that's
Healthy.
a she.
It's a
Uh,
she.
oh, okay. She says, sadly, one issue is guys don't want help from a lady, though.
That is true. That
Have
is
you
true.
have you experienced that? You seen a guy struggle and you thought you'd go out there and give him a hand and he turned you down?
Yeah, I have one guy yell at me and say, "I've been driving for 15 years. I don't need your help." And I was like, "Well, then you should have been able to take the turn without jumping the curb and running over the boulder."
Wow.
And you know
Kid,
what? But now you know what? One last thing. There are some guys that have come out, and I have a video about this, that they were yelling at me. Not all guys are going to be nice, but there have been certain times where I was backing and I couldn't get in the space, and the guy would be mean and nasty. And the one thing I've learned that women can do that will upset a man and make him run away is to call his truck cute. Okay, you call a man's truck cute and you just insulted him more than dissing his mama.
Wow, I've heard that before.
Yeah, right. There was this guy, the little red Cascadias with the black grill and the black mirrors and the black, the hood mirrors, right? This guy came up yelling at me, and I said, "Oh, is that your truck over there?" And he said, "Yeah, that's Thunderbolt." I was like, "It looks like a ladybug. It's so cute. I'd put little white spots, and it's got little antennas on the front, put a little smiley face, and I'd put Lady Kearsey right on the side." What? Yeah, it's cute. It looks like a ladybug. It's so adorable. Right? That's Thunderbolt, and then stomps away. Okay, take your Thunderbolt and go ride and leave me alone.
You ran him away real quick. What should the last question I got for you? What should new people be preparing for when they come in for a truck driving position at Prime?
They have to eliminate all their expectations and just go with it. Seriously. You might not get the trainer you want, because that's something that happens on YouTube. People constantly ask me and they put me down as their request, and there's only so many people I can train a year, but you see me in a group of Prime drivers on YouTube and you think I'm a great trainer. Well, guess what? We got 10,000 drivers. And if you think that there's not other great trainers out there, you're wrong. There are. And there's great trainers at other companies. There's bad trainers at this company and there's bad trainers at other companies. But, you have to eliminate your expectations. Don't expect to get a shower at 8 o'clock in the morning every day. You might be expected to drive nights and days and whatever, but don't give up. Clear your mind of the expectations, roll with it, and don't give up. And you could have a rewarding career.
That's what's up. Trucking Along with Kearsey. Kearsey, how can the people find you on your social media outlets?
Well, I just opened up my Facebook page after a year. So I am on Instagram at Truckin Along Fun. I am on Facebook now at Truckin Kearsey. So you can find me there.
On Instagram, Truckin Along. What is it called? Truckin Along with Fun?
It's Truckin Along Fun. I know.
Truckin Along Fun.
Yeah, I made it up originally. That was my email address I was using, and I probably should change it now.
Oh no, that's a pretty good. All right, so I got your website. I mean your Instagram up along with your cat, and I just clicked that follow button, and I've been subscribed to you. Yeah,
right, cool.
I've been subscribed to you since day one. OTR trainer, ambassador, just a jack of all trades, Prime. What more can you say tonight, Kearsey?
Well, I don't know, but Lord knows I can talk. So if you gave me the time, we'd find something else. No, I mean, it comes down to be all you can be. Like one of the questions that woman asked us in the interview on NBC that they didn't post up, she asked us if we were scared, if we were afraid, and if I was afraid of dying. And I was like, lady, I drive an 18-wheeler and I train people. I face death every day. We are all dying every day. So live your life like you're dying.
That's a good.
Excuse me.
TJ Jones, thank you for the coffee, bro. I really do appreciate it. Kearsey, since you said that, especially what happened just this past couple of weeks. Let's rewind it back to when you actually got out on the road by yourself and you seen accidents. Had that, at that time, what was your feelings about it at the time? And did it, of course, it didn't change your mind because you're still in the industry, but did you at one point say, nah, this, I can't do this?
Well, 3-4 weeks out, I wound up driving across Wyoming, and I was not prepared for Wyoming. Where I come from, Easter has cute little bunnies popping around and tulips and real thin dresses. And, I went out to Wyoming, it was 4 feet of snow, and they were sliding all over each other and blowing over, and it was bad. And I felt like crap. It took me forever to drive 150 miles. And I really was disappointed in myself because I expected myself to do better. And I called my fleet manager and said, I'm sorry. I know that I didn't get as far as you would have wanted. And his response was, you parked safe. You didn't get into an accident. You didn't hit anybody. You're not hurt. And you let me know what you're doing. You had a great day. You did a great job today.
Now you see, a common theme with you tonight, and your fleet manager. It sounds like you got an awesome rapport with your fleet manager. And I said this plenty of times in my past videos that if you have a good rapport with your fleet manager, you're going to actually have a good time with the company. So how long have you and your fleet manager been together? And do you agree with my statement on the report, having a good rapport with your manager?
Yeah, I do agree with it, but it's something that it's almost like a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. You have to build on that. You have to learn to trust each other. You have to understand each other. You have to get to a point where you accept each other's faults and things like that. It's a give and take. And I do think that some people don't want to give and they just want to demand. And I saw him, he was a major support system for me. I love my fleet manager. If somebody said anything to me, man, I'm going to tell you, I would lay them out over him. But early on, he would say things like that as we were, building this relationship. There was one time he must have been having a really bad day. And I was in a dock. I had already been there for like 6 hours. And he had me pre-planned, and I messaged him and said, I'll give you an ETA when I get out of here. I'm just going to do the 8 in the sleeper to extend my clock, and I'll give you an ETA. And he wrote back, do you realize you exceed my daily expectations? Now, I was like, I'm just doing my job, Uh-oh, you disappeared this time.
Oh, no. I had to reset my camera.
Oh,
so,
okay.
There you go.
But he's,
there you go.
And he made that comment, and it just made me really feel good. And, then I realized he must put up with a lot of crap from other people. But
yeah, like I said, some fleet managers can be real assholes, but I feel that if you have a good rapport with the fleet manager, they know how you run, you know how they want, you know what they want, and it just pretty, it just works out pretty good.
But that's not to say that I've never been asked to do something I didn't agree with or thought I deserved better. I have. And then I've asked him, and, I've done it, and then he would reward me. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry. I have this thing in my face that's bothering me. But, so, people got to give a give and take. They have to do that. And a lot of people just want to demand. And, it takes time. But one thing that I thought was really cool that he did, people are, they get upset about night dispatch, weekend dispatch. And we had a brand new night dispatcher who did not let me sleep that night. he kept messaging me, asking me if the load was ready at the shipper. And I'm like, if the load was ready, I'd be rolling. So leave me alone so I can sleep and roll out in the morning. And I think I was too new at the time to realize just turn your phone off and turn the Qualcomm off and the heck with them. But, you know, in the morning, my fleet manager called me up. This guy actually said to me, if you go to sleep, you're going to be late. It's kind of a long story, but he basically told me I was going to be late. How dare he tell me I'm going to be late? I was so mad. So my fleet manager called me.
Well, he didn't want you to sleep. Like you got to get some sleep. You can't drive fatigued, right?
It was that he didn't comprehend the job. You know, he's at work, so he doesn't understand. And, you know, I was at a place where the load was supposed to be done by midnight. So I got there at 8 o'clock and it was supposed to have already been done latest by midnight. Now I'm being told they're not going to be done till 3. And he's basically, you know, being told that he's supposed to have me check on the load every hour. Well, if I check on the load every hour, you know, I'm not sleeping. Like, this is the perfect time for me to do an 8-2 split. So in order to do that, I need to sleep, you know, but him being new, he didn't comprehend it. And in the morning, my fleet manager called me up as soon as he got in. And he said, how are you? If you are not safe to drive, I need you to stop and I will have somebody come get that load. But me being me, I went off on him. And I was like, you better talk to him because he doesn't know he's talking to. I'm never late. And I was going on with my head bobbing and my jersey, talking a million miles a minute. And my fleet manager was just 20 minutes. He listened to me, 20 minutes. And then he says, okay, I know you're safe because you're upset. You know, and he wound up having to put that guy, you know, give him a little bit more training. But again, that goes back to I was new and I expected them to accept me and my mistakes being new. This dispatcher was new. So I had to realize to accept his deficiencies and his mistakes as a new person.
All right.
And I don't think enough people do that.
All right, Kearsey. Well, we're going to end it tonight. So thank you very much for coming on, ma'am. I really do appreciate it. So hang tight while I end the show. Let me go ahead and do this. Well, that's going to do it, everybody, for tonight for the Lockoutmen Podcast Show. I really do appreciate everybody stepping up in the building. Make sure you guys hit that lights. I see that the lights is up there. Oh, it just went up again. Thank you very much. Thank you to TJ Jones, the bull, for the $2.99 super chat for the coffee. I do appreciate that, brother, man. If you guys want to join the community link is up at the top. Hook a brother up with some coffee every day. Thank you very much. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Kearsey for coming on tonight and sharing her experience and talking about Prime. And if you guys are interested in Prime, make sure you guys give them a call and use her as a referral. All right. Use her as the referral if you want to come on and mess with Prime. They did change. They changed it from 50,000 to 30,000. So I might just have to do an updated make the call video. If you guys want me to do that, let me know in the comments below. All right, that's gonna do it for me. That's gonna do it for her. We're done. I'm gone. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Yeah, get it in. Yeah, party over here, get it in. Yeah, she like a liquor clear, get it in. Yeah, she get it from a deal, get it in. Yeah, make it disappear, get it in. Yeah, park it in the rear, get it in. Yeah, now make it reappear, get it in. Yeah, freak it with no fear, get it in. Yeah, pop it in the clutch, girl, get it in. Yeah, jump on it, double dutch, girl, get it in. Yeah, drop it, double clutch, girl, get it in. Yeah, pump it up, butt lift, now downshift.